Welcome back to another analysis for Don't Park Top 8. We're going to be going over Hungrybox versus Joshman today. I think it's a pretty hype set, and it's Joshman's very first win over Hungrybox. He has played him, I believe, 8 times in the past and was down 0-8. And so on his 9th attempt, he finally did it, and we're going to see why he was able to make this happen. He had a set right before this against SDJ, and he also won 3-1. And we went over that a few days ago. And Josh had a few parts of the matchup that he was doing really, really, really well, and then a few parts that were a little shaky. And I was gonna see if Hungrybox managed to punish those a little bit better, or how it kind of compared back to the other set. So just a couple notes to remind you guys: SDJ was not able to get many good up airs on Joshman. A lot of times the up air is one of Jigglypuff's biggest combo starters. So if you can avoid the up airs, then you're in really good shape. That's pretty much, it's just that and the grab are the biggest openers. And SDJ got almost no up airs on Josh. And I kind of expected Hungrybox to be able to get more. But it turns out that Josh is just crazy, crazy, crazy good at avoiding the up air. And I think Hungrybox only gets like one. He gets 2 good up airs this whole set, which is pretty much a game changer. I think Josh is really good at avoiding the up airs. He was really good in the SDJ set at avoiding dealing with like Puff coming down on him mix-ups and stuff like that. His weaknesses were more so that he had a little bit of trouble when SDJ was playing grounded. He had a tendency to play a little bit too aggressive. And I think that does come back to bite him a little bit in this set. But I think that overall he didn't bite quite as much. And I think that he didn't bite quite enough for it actually to matter against all of like the really other good stuff he was doing. So it's something maybe he can optimize here or there, but overall pretty good. I think, and he's really good at finding consecutive mix-ups where he'll get like a hit on Puff at like 10 damage, and he'll just hit her like 3 more times from like 3 very quick mix-ups that can either lead into a kill or a lot of damage. And I think, especially in Game 1 here, I think the end of Game 1 really came down to Josh being able to use one of those great sequences to close out the game. So, from HBox's end, I think this was not his best showing. I think he missed a couple crucial points, and just in general, it felt... he's somewhat known for doing these, like, grabs that used to be associated with Mewtwo King, where you just kind of grab over and over in place. And I think that he got a little greedy this set with the grabs in general, and I think he was fishing a good amount in spots where I feel like he maybe shouldn't have been fishing. But I think when you have like 8 wins in a row on somebody and they've never beaten you, and I've seen these other Hungrybox Joshman sets, and a lot of time it's Hungrybox just sort of going and like fishing for these options over and over, and eventually Josh gives it to him. And so I understand from his point of view, at least subconsciously, of like, okay, like if I just kind of fish for my openings and I play pretty solid, this guy will give it to me. That's sort of how it felt like he was playing. And it felt like Josh was just crazy ready to not get hit by any of that stuff. So let's hop right into Game 1. And this game is... So Josh won the set 3-1, by the way. Hungrybox only won 1 game, which was the Dreamland game. And the Dreamland game, Hungrybox got 5 rests. And that was the only game that he won. And he won last stock. So this felt like a pretty dominant set for Josh overall, despite none of the games being crazy huge deficit. Joshman wins Game 1 with a 2 stock, and the rest of the games are last stock. So despite me, kind of talking up Josh here and saying Hungrybox maybe didn't play at his peak, I still think this set ended up really close. But the stuff Josh was doing in the set, I think, was overall a lot better. So let's hop right in. One thing I really want to mention about this set that you're going to want to pay attention to, and I think it's something that jumped out to me about this set in general, is that Josh does a crazy good job of dash dancing. Like, his dash dance this set is like unreal good. Just his spacing on the ground and his ability to move around Puff's different setups is what I think basically won him the set here. I think he does a really good job of not getting pushed into the corner, while at the same time, not getting so close that he's basically scrapping with Puff over and over. And I think that's a very difficult balance to find. I think like it's very easy to get trapped into the fact that you're going to avoid Puff and you're going to move backwards, and then she's able to get you into the corner, and then when you're in the corner, she has all these really strong mix-ups. And I think Josh basically does a crazy good job of playing right in this range, right here. Usually I say under the inner edge of the side plat. Well, if this is assuming that like Hungrybox is on this side. If Hungrybox is on this side platform or over in this area, Josh will be over here under this side platform. And he does a really, really good job of keeping this spacing very... He tries to consistently hold it, and he doesn't let Hungrybox bully him out of that space, which is a really common mistake that people make. Every time Hungrybox kind of pushes into this area, Josh either does a small movement or he fights back, and I think that lets him maintain this safe spacing and kind of set up like a home for himself underneath the platform there, underneath this little edge of the platform. So, okay, so game 1, we only get one rest. Hungrybox gets this early grab, but he's not able to capitalize off of it with a second grab here. Looks like he went for a read here. But these are crazy. You're going to see a lot of these. These are basically known now. Like, people will call these the H-box grab. And you'll see why, because he just does it, like, so often. Grab, 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 grab. And, you know, I think, like... a lot of times it has worked out for him, and Puff doesn't immediately die here if he makes an error, but I do feel like ultimately this is a little bit cheesy. It's very much like hoping that the other player... you're kind of putting the ball in the other player's court by going for these grabs of being like, okay, I'm going to do these, but I'm going to like kind of assume that you either won't punish me or you'll try to punish me and mess up doing so, and I'll get my grab. And so I think they're a little bit greedy, but he gets away with them for now, but I do think that as the set goes on, he starts going for so many greedy grabs that Josh really takes advantage of it. And this has worked out for him so many times, so I do understand why he does it, but I do think that if you're playing really high-level melee, and you're assuming that your opponent is also playing really high-level melee, you would not necessarily be making those choices. So I do think Hungrybox is looking for a little bit of a freebie here against Joshman at a few points. And when the person has always given you the freebie in the past, I feel like that's extra tempting. Like, if he just gets some easy grabs here, maybe he wins the game 1, and then, you know, he has really good momentum for the set. I do get it. And it's kind of like the feeler stage, so the Fox isn't super ready to just immediately punish it. It's also sort of like an unconventional decision where you would just never really expect it. Even knowing that Hungrybox does these grabs, you can't go into the set assuming that he's going to just grab wildly over and over. Because what if he does, you know, respect you more, and what if he does go for some better options? Then you'll look silly for trying to cover one of the best players going for multiple grab in place, you know? So I think it kind of works out here, but it doesn't work out for the rest of the set, I think. I think he gets a little bit too grab happy. So I think earlier in the set, Josh is... So you'll notice that Josh, remember, he plays very centralized around this inner edge of the platform. And I think this is the correct spot for Fox to play around. The correct spot for Puff to play around is going to be the edges of the side plat. You either want to play here for defensive, where you can use all your jumps whenever you want, and then basically just quickly wave land or edge cancel off the outer edge. This is sort of like the defensive space for Puff. And then this is the aggressive space where you use the inner edge of this platform to do stuff like wave dash off or wave land off into a side B or a back air or an up air, or set up like you can wave land off and then double jump wave land back onto the platform to try to bait an up smash. This is sort of like default position on this stage for both characters, is what I'd say. Like, if I'm giving a Puff lesson, I'm telling them, get over here, play this spot. And from the Fox end, I'm telling them to play right here. So this is like, you can basically consider this to be the true neutral point in this matchup. I think that this is sort of where both characters want to be most of the time if you're playing like a long situation out. And earlier in the set, Josh definitely takes more aggro mix-ups like this. Like, I think this is a little bit dangerous, and the payoff is not necessarily huge. And I think he starts out kind of taking more of these, and then as the set goes on, it sort of wears off, and he starts deciding to play a little bit more defensive and hold that position, which I think is better. And this is a small detail, but I think that this sort of autopilot decision here to do this dropping back air is really good against most characters, but I don't think it's very good against Puff, and you'll see why in a second. So yeah, and look at this. It goes right back to the neutral. So they're here, and this feels like, okay, what's really going to happen here? Nobody really has anything to work with. And so Puff wants to find a way down here, and Josh wants to find a way back to his home right there. And then they can kind of play this mix out in this position. Really like this shield by Josh here. Like, Puff basically, when she does this double jump, her double jumps take a really long time to actually reset to where she was, because she can't fast fall well. So, it's like her double jump seems really tiny, comparatively to like Fox or something, but it actually takes a pretty good amount of time, just like a normal character's double jump. So like when she's here, I really like that. Okay, sorry. When she is here, she's here. I really like that. So Hungrybox goes for the wave dash off. Josh backs up to avoid a potential aerial here. Waits for the potential aerial and the pound. Like, I like that he's far enough in the corner here to also wait for the pound, because they like to do drift and then side B right here. So Josh waits for the pound, and then as soon as he sees the double jump, he knows that he can move in again, and he just uses the shield, and he works his way. Notice he didn't get stuck in the corner. Jigglypuff is going to want to use her momentum here, or sorry, use her movement here to like kind of push Fox into the corner. And Josh does move back into the corner, but he's quickly using the opportunity to like move back into center and to get back to his stable position here, rather than staying in the corner and ending up in this spot where Hungrybox gets sort of this corner pressure mix-up. And yeah, we go back to the stable position of right here, of side platform versus under this side platform. And Hungrybox kind of just moves around right here and manages to get an opening. It's not really like a real bait. It felt like Josh just overcommitted a little bit with that nair, and Hungrybox capitalized on it, and surprisingly doesn't get the stock here. This was kind of like a shocking miss for me, because I think he just overcommitted with this fair, I guess. Like right here, I feel like he didn't need to do this big drift back fast fall. If he had just done like a normal fair here, this should have been a kill. Josh gets a couple of these. One of these later in the set is actually really critical. The last game of the set, where he waits for a couple jumps. One, two, and then he goes in with the up air. You'll see that happen. And this has been something that I think has worked against Hungrybox for a long time, because he's very, very comfortable sort of stalling here with these back airs and looking for a good position. But if Fox is aggressive and Fox finds the right spot here, then I think that Jigglypuff can be in a little bit of danger. So as the Puff here, I think it's important to like not get... What you want it to feel like for the Fox is you want it to feel like if they do this up air read, then they are potentially risking falling off stage and getting reversaled if they miss. But if you tend a little bit too close, and so Josh fell off stage here, but just barely. And my guess is he was trying to barely land on stage when he drifted back right there. And it's just not enough danger. I think if you're doing this movement here, you want to be a little bit further out, or you want to press into the platform. He was kind of in a spot where he was just leaving himself vulnerable. And yeah, Hungrybox manages to get a kill off this grab, but very indirectly. I think it's impressive in this set. It feels like there's no repeatable situation where Hungrybox should get a kill and then doesn't. But it feels like a lot of times when Hungrybox does get his grabs in, like he'll finally get a grab, and somehow Josh is just kind of in a spot where the grab isn't fully effective. So I really like this slide off DI here. And he gets clipped out of it, but I think that defense of getting the slide off on the forward throw is really, really good. And it seems like Josh has a lot of those, where he's just kind of ready to avoid Puff's grabs, or sorry, her throw follow-ups, even if he does get grabbed, which is kind of rare for the most part, except for game 2. Another thing to note about this set is there is literally, I think, Hungrybox, as far as I know, I can double check it. Yeah. Hungrybox does, like, he doesn't live over 100 a single time the entire set until the very, very last stock. And that is a crazy accomplishment from Joshman's end, and I think it's a testament to, like, why he's winning these sets, or won this one, is that, like, if Puff never lives to this high percent, she misses out on, like, her survivability and her good recovery, which is such an important part of the character. So, like, if you're in a spot where you're back airing Puff at 100 and she lives, and then you back air her again at 115 and she lives, and you back her again at 130 and she barely lives, those add up over time, and I think Puff players are sort of used to getting that mileage if they play the set safe enough. But I think Josh was doing a really good job of making sure to always get in with some kind of kill move early. He didn't live till over 100 a single time, and by over 100 I'm counting before the opening, not after. So this is a grab at 84 and Hungrybox dies. But I just think that is like a crazy stat. Like, Josh lives over 100 a few times. I think Hungrybox does a really good job of not letting Josh live too long either, because I think that, and I've talked about this before, that when Fox gets over around 80% against Jigglypuff, that he is extremely difficult to kill. And there's a point during the Dreamland game where that sort of comes into effect, and you'll see how much mileage Josh is able to even able to, like, potentially get out of you'll see how much mileage he's able to get out of it happening even one time. And so if it happens more times, that's just going to be a huge advantage for Fox. If Jigglypuff lives to high percent, that's going to be a big advantage for her. And Josh does a crazy good job of just making sure that never ever happens, which is so hard if you've played this matchup against a high-level Puff. Sometimes you get your early kills, sometimes she lives a long time. But not against Joshman. He manages to get those early kills super consistently. And yeah, look at this. This is one of those Joshman sequences where he gets a couple hits and he's immediately setting up for a potential kill right here. These are deadly. As a Puff, like, those are terrifying. Great tech chase. I'm shocked that Hungrybox didn't die out of this. My guess is one pummel here would have killed. But very close to dying, manages to survive. This is something that I think that Josh does really well this entire set, what is his under-platform play. He will scrap with Jigglypuff in these situations where he's underneath the platform and Jigglypuff is above the platform, or, like, on the platform in general. He'll fight these out more often than I'd say most people are willing to, and then after each aerial, he crouches. And he does this systematically throughout the set, and it basically never comes back in a negative way. I feel like it sort of reduces the position to a point where none of her falling up airs hit except for maybe the latest possible up air, and you're crouching anyway. And then, you know, it's too low of a percent for drill to be all that effective. Jigglypuff's drill. And her back air and forward air don't really work here. And so he took a position where a lot of times people get scared here of Jigglypuff coming down with an up air, or like a grab or something like that, and he's just super ready for it every time with the crouch. I think it was during the stadium game that he gets crazy mileage out of this aerial crouch underneath the platform. And if you think about it, like, if Josh had technically played this perfectly, this is like a crouch dash grab. He could be able to potentially get like a dash grab here and end the stock. So I think the crouch underneath the side platform there after the aerial is a really good play, and I think we'll see more people kind of standardize that soon. This is the issue that I mentioned earlier with the instant drop through back air, where this is like a really good back air against most characters, and against Puff it's just not. I think that there were a couple options here. He could have dropped with an instant nair, But given the percents and the fact that like he could have maybe gotten up aired out of something like this, or grabbed regardless of which aerial he did, I think the best thing to do upon missing this aerial right here is to get away to the top platform. I think that Fox underneath the side platform against Puff, especially with the crouch, is a pretty good position, but over the side platform with Puff on the ground is a little bit too risky. Even though you might be able to outplay her, I don't think this spot is like a guaranteed loss for Fox. I think it's higher risk than Fox necessarily needs to take. So Josh could have definitely just left here, and this is a big kill for HBox. This is something that I mentioned in the Joshman versus SDJ set, and I don't think this was Josh's intention here. I think this back air was just sort of like a bad decision. But in general, if you want to make a risk against Jigglypuff, like you're at a percent where it's very difficult for her to kill you with anything but a rest punish. And sure, she can get edge guards and stuff, but the rest is the main threat most of the time. If you're at a percent where the rest is a real threat to you, and you're going to go for a risky opening, like let's say you're going to go for an up smash, you're going to go for a grab because Puff is at this nice juicy kill percent, you want to make sure... Yeah, you want to make sure that like she is at a percent where you can actually guarantee the kill afterward. So sometimes Puff will be at like the percent where up throw up air barely kills, and people will go for these instant grabs and stuff like that. And you can just potentially die and then come back, try to up throw up air Puff. She gets one SDI out, and suddenly like she has this big lead. And so I think if you're going to go for a risky kill, you want to make sure that she's at a percent that is high enough that when the rest kills you, if you mess up, if you are wrong on your guess and she gets the rest, you can come back and just clean it up with the up smash, no questions asked. It's something that I don't think is very easy to calculate in the game, but in the analysis, it's always super obvious. So I think it's something that people are going to start keeping in mind probably more in the future, because this is like a clear error on Josh's end with the back air, right? But even then, like, because Hungrybox is at a percent where the up smash kills, Josh can just come back, reset. His mistake doesn't really matter that much. Like, they basically went from, 3 stocks mid percent to 2 stocks low percent, and it was off of Josh's big error. So getting the trade guaranteed here is actually really important. Because there's nothing worse than when she kills you and you come back and the only thing you can do is try to up throw up air her. Or even if she's at low percent, like I think if Puff is at a percent where you're definitely not going to get the kill, you should be 100% playing a lot safer and not like going for as many gambles. I think there are a few spots during this set where Josh goes for grabs or some sort of gamble at a little bit of a lower percent, and I don't think those are as good just because you don't have the potential rest punish in the same way. Like, I think that this grab, and Josh does have really good grabs, and I think this grab was pretty good because he's punishing this short hop aerial. But even then, I'm not completely super jazzed on this, only because, like maybe he could have done, like, a short hop drill that big crosses up and then shoot a laser and get a little bit of damage, because I feel like even if you land the up throw up air here, which he does, it's 24%, and he was already at 9 damage, so he's definitely in danger. Like, if Hungrybox maybe spot dodges here, I think, like I said, I think it was a good grab in terms of I think he had a very high chance of getting the grab. But if you mess up the grab, or Hungrybox manages, like right here, if Hungrybox, for whatever reason, reads this after the up air and immediately grabs... 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hungrybox would have gotten the grab out early. So Hungrybox would have gotten the grab here, potentially get a kill, whereas Josh landing the grab, even though it's a pretty good spot to grab, is only getting 24%, and that's it. And so I think that is generally not as good of a gamble, because you don't have the guaranteed rest punish if you fail. And if you have the guaranteed rest punish, the worst case you have is a stock trade, which is overall pretty good. And this is a spot where the grab is pretty much always okay after the roll, because she doesn't have time to grab you back. The spot dodge is really the only consistent way she can get out of this grab situation. And her spot dodge is not fantastic, and usually you just get either a shine guaranteed or a shine pressure right out of it. This would have been scary, this full hop, if Josh was at a little bit higher percent. Below 20, I think it might be 16 or something, I can't remember the exact knockdown number of up air. But before up air knockdown percent, you can be a little bit more liberal with your full hops above Puff, because she can't up air into instant rescue. And so Josh returns to his little house right under this edge of the platform. Great spot to play. This is like the true neutral, remember. This is where both players want to be, right here. So Hungrybox kind of just, it's very cheeky. He holds this shield out for like a while, sort of hoping that if he holds it out long enough that Josh will nair in, is what it looks like. Or maybe try to like cross up nair and get grabbed on the backside here. It doesn't feel like he's doing anything super productive, but he's kind of hoping that something will happen in his favor. And like this is very like mental game. I'm gonna be super tricky and not like using your character to its maximum capacity. Like shield for like a second and a half on the platform, wave dash down, drop through pound. And I like that Josh did not fall for it because it was kind of a cheap trick. And I think if you miss the reaction on this, you should not be going back in for the second grab. I think that it's just the percentages here. Like I said, you don't really want to be going for these gambles if you can't kill her. And like maybe at this percent you can kill off. She misses the rest, you come back and do like laser or something like that. But you don't have a guaranteed up smash kill out of it, and so on like the rest punish. So it feels a little scary. But it's getting close. Like you can definitely kill with a charged up smash here. So maybe it's not too bad. But I think that this grab was really good. Yeah, and he basically, like, if he gets this second grab here, he gets a kill. And so I think that it was a good idea in general to go for the tech chase. But once he's missed the tech chase, I wouldn't say going back in immediately is my favorite. This was crazy movement by Josh. I love that he just barely avoids the zone that Hungrybox wants him in this entire set, and I think that's so sick. Where it's like he's using the space that is behind him really well. Like right here, Hungrybox could waveland off back air here, so Josh uses the space, but he's not doing something that a lot of people make a mistake of doing right here, which is a lot of people would dash back here and try to shoot a couple lasers, and then now Hungrybox lands here, and you're suddenly in the corner. Whereas Josh moves back, but he immediately is like, okay, what if I move back in? And he gets right back into position here, where he can, like, actually defend. And then he's quickly moving into, like, okay, I avoided this space, like, kind of the danger zone, and now I'm going to move in on Puff and play this low-to-the-ground game. This is really important here, that he doesn't jump in these spots. He is staying grounded, because look at this up air from Hungrybox. This is what the Jigglypuff is going to be looking for every time. As the Puff, if I'm right here, I'm thinking this up air. Because you're hoping that Fox maybe tries to jump up and hit you, or he's going for a short hop aerial, and maybe you can sneak something in. And because Josh doesn't bite, he doesn't jump, the options that Hungrybox actually has access to are way less. So really good, like, ground movement, and he's just moving around. I think that was a good grab. And I don't super love this up air. So these up airs that Josh does right here, these are fantastic when they kill. I don't think that there's a ton of utility to this in this position. I think, like, Hungrybox is clearly, like, playing defensive right here. I think the up air just doesn't have a place right there if it's not going to kill. You can get your damage in less risky ways. For example, like if Hungrybox just happened right here to grab. This was a very, very risky up air to take without it having killing potential. If it had killing potential, then sure, because you're saying, okay, if I hit you with this up air, I kill you. If you miss the punish on the up air, that's fine. I got to try to kill you and lose a mix-up and be safe, which is what happens here. Josh tries... Well, he tries to go for the opening, but it doesn't have the kill if he hits it, which is why it's not as good. And if Hungrybox does get a grab here, he can probably trade kill. So it's like everything here lined up except for the fact that the up air would not have killed in that position. And the double jabs there, that was really tricky by Josh. I don't think he does this again during the set, so I think it was sort of like a unique scramble situation, but it picks up a quick kill. So this is a behavior that is really, really common against most characters as Fox, is as they drop through this platform, you go to top platform. Puff is the only character, or one of the only characters, where it's just really, really horrendous against. This was a very bad choice by Josh to go to the top platform here, in my opinion. I think that, especially when you're at a percent, where he does it another time, I'm not sure, it might be on the Dreamland game, but I think he's at a percent where it's too low for up air to knock down, and so it's not as big of a deal. But if you're at a percent where up air is really a danger here, like there's definitely a world here, there's definitely like a very prominent possible world where Hungrybox comes back right here, drops through, and does double jump up air right there, and then gets a rest, and now it's 1 stock to 1. That is like, honestly, like a 40% chance of happening there. And so I think, and I say this for Falco too, that when Puff is coming down like this, you can just shield and wave dash out of shield. You can shield, hold shield, wave dash out in random spots and move around on the ground. She's not going to have a super easy time catching you. And if you want, you can wave dash out of shield here, maybe back, and then once she's further down, go to the top plat. But this sort of strategy of like going up as she's coming down, this is just an up air for her, and so I don't really like this movement by Josh. He gets away with it, but it was a little bit risky. And then this is... I call these Josh stocks, where it's like, does he combo you to death? No. But he gets nair, drop through. Like, a lot of Foxes here, I think many, many people, many people, and I mean that in not the sense of, like, the lower end of people. I mean, like, everybody. Like, I think I probably would have gone for this nair here, and I think people who are better at this matchup than me would have also gone for this nair here. And Hungrybox would have gotten the trade, and the nair wouldn't knock down. I don't think the nair knocks down at 26, and Hungrybox would have gotten the knockdown. Honestly, it probably wouldn't do that much since it would probably send Fox to edge, but I'm not sure, and it definitely wouldn't have worked out as well as what Josh did, where it's like, quick hit, he recognizes that he doesn't have a true follow-up here, and makes a great read that Hungrybox is going to try to hit him out of it, and then gets this extra percent. He misses the lasers here. These would have been beautiful lasers otherwise. Like, boom, boom. Quick 2 lasers here would have probably, at least one of these lasers hits Hungrybox and gets him closer to the critical kill percent. And then he's just kind of on top of him. Like, he's just on him like crazy. And I think this definitely helped a lot that Josh did not have to play out the rest of this game in a high-pressure situation. He was able to just, and once again, look at this. He's so good at avoiding the up airs. I think it's easy to avoid the up airs. I think it's one of the easiest parts of the matchup to actually do until you have to play the rest of the matchup. It's like, it's so easy to, yeah, of course, I'm not going to fall on Puff. I'm not going to give her the free up air. And then, you know, you're trying to get your grab. You're trying to actually kill her out of it, and it's very difficult to maintain the ability to avoid the up air even in those spots. And so I think here, where he ends up on top of Hungrybox, but he makes sure to just full drift to the side, it helped. I think Hungrybox might have been able to sneak this up air here, but I think the spacing was definitely in Josh's favor here. So, and he gets this immediate pivot grab. This whole stock was fantastic, honestly. This is definitely one of the highlights of the top 8 in my opinion. Like, boom, 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 hits the nair, and then just reads Hungrybox going to center with the pivot grab and kills out the other up air. That is like the quintessential like Josh hits the mix up at 0. I'm gonna watch it one more time. It was a great stock. Boom, boom, bait, boom, lasers, boom, retreats, gets the grab, kills. And I do think that Hungrybox could have played this situation out better, but it's scary. You know, you get caught in this mix-up, and you know that when Josh gets a hit or two, that he is going to try to play like 2 or 3 mix-ups afterward that will lead to a kill. And so, like, let's see, what could Hungrybox have even done better here? I think he probably could have dragged it out a little bit. Like, I don't think this fair was good. I think I do notice in this set that I think Hungrybox gets desperate a few times. Mostly the end of this game and the end of game 4, where Josh takes the lead and he's kind of moving really confident, and Hungrybox just starts kind of like doing stuff like this fair. Like game 4, he gets blown up for some really bad fairs at the end as soon as he's in a deficit. And I think that him just like, I think the best thing to do if you're Hungrybox here is play the platform game. Like, I think he's looking for these big catches on Josh, but what he should be doing is retreating to here, playing it nice and safe, avoiding up smash, and finding a potential, you know, he needs to slow it down, look for openings more, but it feels like he's trying to kind of force it here, and Josh does not give it to him. And that's the only, let's see, wait a minute. No, so I think Josh wins 2 stocks. No, game 4, Joshman wins last stock 2. That was the only 2 stock. And it's the only time that a player has 2 stocks over the other player as far as I know. So it's a very back and forth set, the rest of it. Wow. Look at all that damage. And this is what I'm talking about with the mixes. It's like, boom. Actually, that wasn't even a mix. That was a real combo. But it's still like a crazy sequence to land in the first 4 seconds of the game. And he gets so aggressive. He does not just reset after these, which I think is really good. Because you don't want to push in too much when Jigglypuff has created the position herself. Because the Puff player is going to know where they're comfortable. But if you make the position for them, it's chaotic enough that I think playing these aggro mix-ups right afterward are really good. And notice, this is the same pattern that repeats again, where Josh does this low aerial onto the side plat, and he's doing it to wall this time, but he does quick back air, crouch. And it's a little bit dangerous right here. You could get grabbed, but I think that as a general, is it really that dangerous? You know, at 0, like, he might get grabbed, but you're on Dreamland. You're not going to instantly die. I think that the number of things that he could have done, like, after he commits to this back air, the crouch is by far the best option. Because you can assume that Hungrybox is going to be going for some sort of, like, up air, trying to catch you out of your jump into a grab, maybe. Hungrybox goes for the landing back air, and he actually does that a decent amount during some of these games in ways that confuse me, where I feel like you want the rising back air. Like, you want the instant short hop back air and then be able to drift away out of it. And he goes for a lot of these landing back airs, and I think that as people get better at CC and utilize CC more, like Josh is ready here with the CC every time. And look at this. So, like, if Hungrybox hits this aerial, if he, like, let's say he fairs Joshman right here out of this crouch, or even back airs him, he's getting grabbed here anyway. And so it's like the only thing he could have maybe done to win this spot is, like, an instant grab. And the odds are just heavily in Joshman's favor. So I think that was a really, really good, like, crouch. And he does those a lot. He does those quick aerial into crouch when Hungrybox is on him. And gets him a lot of mileage. This is one of the only good up airs that Hungrybox manages to actually catch Josh with during the set. And I think it was a result of him breaking the game plan a bit. I think the game plan has been working really solidly to play under this side plat. And this is the game where Josh loses the plan the most. I think that if he had kept up the plan he had really consistently, he would have just kind of kept winning. But I think that this is the game where Hungrybox he's able to manipulate Josh's movement a little bit more. Like, he kind of plays defensive here, and then he gets Josh to jump around in this way. This is a general rule that I tell new players, and I tell everybody this over and over, but sometimes in the heat of the moment, you still think it's a good plan. It is almost never a good plan, but it's very difficult to not do it sometimes, but it's the double jump fast fall through mix-up. Like 99.9% of the time, just wave landing here is better, especially if with the wave land you get to hold down on the platform. There's nothing that Jigglypuff or most characters can do to you at 0 here, where dropping through with no double jump, even against like Marth, or there's a lot of characters dropping through here against Falco, everybody can kind of mess up your day here, whereas just it's not worth one back air of damage. Whereas just landing on the platform here is totally safe. So Josh makes a quick mistake there, and Hungrybox surprisingly does not combo it into arrests. I'm a little shocked because he's been hitting those lately. So look, this is like the stuff that carries Puff, basically, is you create a strange situation or a spot where Fox wants to stalemate. A lot of times the jump against most characters, Fox's full hop is very safe, and against Jigglypuff it's not, but other options are safe. And so just holding the shield here, I think basically there's always going to be mix-ups that Puff can do to do empty land grab, but I think that they don't really want to empty land grab because they're vulnerable the whole time coming down, and the grab is fairly committal when they land, and the grab doesn't have a large range because of Puff's small grab. And so they don't want to do the empty land grab very much. And I think that, like, sort of forcing them to have to do the empty land grab if they actually want an opening is better than the alternative, where you're, like, scared of the empty land grab, so you start giving her other stuff. She wants to go for these up airs. They're a lot less committal than the grab. They have a lot more range. They hit a lot more situations. So it's a little bit preferable for her to not go for the grab here. And so I think Josh sort of making the read that Hungrybox is not going to grab here is really good. You can also just do stuff like shield, wave dash back out of shield. You get the ASDI down during the wave dash, and you're not going too high up. Remember what I said earlier? Josh does not jump here. This is the cardinal rule. Never take the vertical road here. Shielding here, rolling here, wave dashing back here, they're all preferable. Crouching here, all of those are preferable to jumping. So like right here, Josh could have crouched here. I think that the crouch would have been good. The shield was really good given the fact that he was kind of disoriented, but I love the fact that he doesn't jump. And Hungrybox is forced to just whiff this up air in a way where if Josh had reacted to it, he could have hit it. But that's not important. It's not important to punish this up air. It's important to avoid getting up aired there. And Hungrybox just goes for it again. This is like kind of something that repeats in the set. Is like when he sort of smells a potential big opening, he'll just go for it like twice. I think there's a balance to be had here. Like, you look at the SDJ versus Joshman set, and SDJ was very much, like, not going for enough setups. He wasn't trying to get the up airs. He wasn't fishing for the grab setups quite enough, in my opinion. But it gave him advantages in other ways, and I feel like Hungrybox, while I think it's better to play this way in general, where you're looking for your big setups, I think that sometimes he gets a little bit too greedy with it, especially during this set. Like, going for this second up air, like, maybe this will get you the thing, but it doesn't feel like this first one feels like he's punishing a pretty significant gotcha on Joshman's end, but this one is kind of hoping that Josh overcommits here. I don't think this is a bad up air necessarily. It's more so that he's going for the same read twice in the same spot, and that reminds me pretty hard of like the grabs he's doing in other spots in this set where he'll just do 2 grabs in a row. It just definitely feels a little cheesy, you know? Has a cheesy vibe to it. And so this is what I was talking about, where like, do I think this is optimal? Not really. I think that Josh has the lead here. On Dreamland in particular, you do not need to go for these gambles. I think it would set him up really well. Like, I'm not criticizing necessarily the use of trying to go for up smash here, but more so that I don't think he needs it. I think he could have just continued playing safe and doesn't need to overcommit here. But the good news is that let's say he does get rested out of this. Hungrybox actually misses a really, really crucial rest here. He manages to win the game anyway. But this is a horrible rest to miss as the Puff player. But even if he gets rested for this position, Josh can come back and clean it up, and in the worst case, he's even again. And I like those odds. If my worst case is to start from basically even with a slight victory, like I'm slight lead. Like this is pretty close. They're both low key at kill percents. So it's like you're going from like a spot where you're pretty even to either taking the stock and having a good lead, or being even again after the stock trade is pretty good from the Fox end. But, you know, he sort of gets rewarded for losing the mix-up here because Hungrybox misses the rest. I don't think he needed to go for... Nah, honestly, I think he did the rest fine. I think this was a fine idea, and it looks like maybe he just full-hopped instead of short-hopped, and that was it. I think he would have been fine with that rest if he had just hit it. What is this expression from Josh? Like, I feel like he knows that he's sort of got this... Like, he knows it's silly, but he's just like, yeah, I'm so good. Like, I think the reactions of the players there is super funny. And Hungrybox, he does all this showmanship. And the showmanship, I think, is partially for the audience. I think it's like, he does it for himself, and it changes his mind state. Like, he sort of performs for the audience, and that pumps him up in a certain way, and potentially throws off his opponent. And I just think it's so funny to very slowly take off, like, yeah, this is why I missed the rest, you know? But he's changing his circumstances. I don't think he actually thinks that that's why he missed the rest. I think he's sort of trying to change up his physical state to create, like, a potential fresher state of mind, which I think is fine. It's probably the same reason he stands up sometimes, although he hasn't done that too much lately. And, this is sort of what I was talking about. It doesn't happen directly here, but especially on these big stages, there's no reason to be up here. Like, what's Josh doing up here? It'll take Hungrybox 80% of his invincibility just to get down to the ground. Like, if you just chill here and do one wave dash back, like, you're chilling. There's no reason to come up to meet Puff in a position where up air can just kill you. So I think that invincibility thing where he's going to the top plat, can definitely be improved from Josh's end. Hungrybox immediately gets away with this double grab here. I think even after this, where Josh gets up aired and he gets to the corner here, I think just immediately retreating rather than going for the counterattack here on Josh's end, he goes for a grab right here. If he had just immediately retreated, it would have been a little bit better. Especially because, like, you can't kill Puff here. You can't kill off the rest punish. You shouldn't be going for gambles like grab, because this is all you get. You get nothing. And this is like, he gets less than nothing here. He messes up a little bit and gets insta-rested, but it doesn't matter. He's at low percent. I don't know if there's something Puff can do better here. Maybe I would say up air and go for something after the up air, but at least this gets Fox to a kill percent, I guess. Yeah, no, that was just a bad decision from Hungrybox. Like, Josh does make it back and gets him, but in the circumstances, like, I get it. Like, he's thinking, like, maybe if he got the 50-50 here and Josh DIs the wrong way, maybe he just gets the kill. I don't know. And, by the way, this is what Fox should be doing here, where you get the high side B, and then that way when you land, you have almost no lag, and he's able to immediately punish it. And look at this. Like, I would not have gotten this combo out of this. Like, honestly, Hungrybox should be doing slide off DI here. I'm kind of shocked that he's not doing, like, C stick down, gray stick to the left, but he just sticks on the platform from holding straight down, and Josh just takes 40 damage from it like nothing. And yeah, I think going for this one's good, and this kind of happens again where he misses the tech chase, knows he missed the tech chase. He's also at a percent where up throw up air doesn't always kill here. Like, he can't just guarantee a kill. He should back up here and get a few lasers, in my opinion. And this is what I mean when I say 80%. As soon as you're at 80, Look at how high the up air sends, even though Hungrybox lands immediately after this up air. Like, you can imagine this up air being at any percent, basically. Sorry, anywhere on the stage at this percent where Hungrybox lands. Like, he could be landing on the ground and hit Joshman barely out of a full hop with an up air here, is what I'm trying to say. And look how high up he goes. He's too high up, just barely, for Puff to actually punish it. And it gets even harder to punish at higher percents, but Josh can 100% have, like, just avoid this. I don't think... It looks like Hungrybox might have been able to get one more up air here. Maybe. Just at the very tip of 80. But it's very difficult to get this follow-up, and now that Fox is at these high percents, like, look at the up air at 90. The up air at 92 is... You know, he doesn't land immediately, but even if he did, there's just no follow-ups here at all. And so now that Fox is at high percent, this is the situation that as Puff you desperately need to avoid. If Fox ever gets over 100, especially on Dreamland, ooh, if that ever happens, you're in for a bad time. You're in for a pretty bad time because Fox can just keep playing this percent out with relatively low danger. Just because none of your stuff will combo. Like, you can still... Like, I think that Hungrybox had an opportunity here to maybe get this. Like, right here, if he hadn't... It looked like maybe he wasn't trying to wave dash to edge here. I actually don't think he was. My impression here is that Hungrybox tried to wave dash back grab and just accidentally fell to ledge. So he might have been able to get a kill off of that, but your options for your kills, like the number of types of kills that Puff actually has on Fox there, go way, way, way down. And so here Josh plays, he doesn't jump up to the platform immediately, but it's funny because it's like he kind of could have, because if the up air hits, he's kind of fine. But I think honestly right here, this is the play. Shield. Just like right here, just shield right here. And then wave dash out, and he would have been fine. And he was fine anyway with the roll, but I think he did corner himself a little bit more than he needed to. I think you can just shield right here, wait for her to come all the way down, and then, you know, get some sort of either roll or defensive option once she's lost her mobility. Because if you put yourself in the corner a little bit too early, like, you want to stay centralized as long as possible, because as soon as she realizes, like, I think this was a great mix by Josh where he acted like he was gonna go to the right from the center. Like, this is about the right time where he's like, look, I'm going to the right, and then he switches up to go to the left, and Hungrybox does a good job of reacting and chasing him there. But if he just shields right now, it's almost impossible for Hungrybox to actually get him if he has a quick wave dash out of shield planned. And I think that Josh actually gets a little bit too offensive out of this spot. So when you have the really high percent as Fox and Puff can't kill you, her best option for killing you is in the air. So you actually want to stay a little bit more grounded. Like, I would say stay a little bit grounded, get some lasers in. I think he jumps into it a little bit too aggressively there. It's not the worst thing. Like, even then, you can't die very easily. Like, look, he makes this mistake of jumping in, and he's still kind of fine. The high percent is very rough for Jigglypuff, but I think he could play it even more abusively, basically. Look how hard it is for Hungrybox to get this kill. He throws him off at like 130. Still can't really get the kill. 157. It's kind of a tough edge guard. And Hungrybox could have gotten the kills in there, but the point is that it's not easy. And killing Fox at 163 is still really, really hard. Like, look at that. It's still not super easy, whereas if Fox is at 50, all of this stuff works. And he gets, like, the raw forward throw kill at, like, 174. And so from Josh's end, that's, like, a big victory. I actually think he didn't get as much mileage out of it as he could have. Like, he gets this kill. H-Box is at 0. He's at 112. I think he could have definitely gotten some more defensive positioning. Just build up a percent here or there. I think that was good play on the platform, but he doesn't need that grab. He doesn't need this grab to build his percent. You're on Dreamland. You can shoot a couple lasers, get a shine out of shield. Like right here, this is like a good example of a spot. I think Cody would have done this, where you just run right into this, shield, and you get a shine out of shield. And then Puff, you know, she might roll away, you get some lasers, you put her in the corner, and you can start getting some more percent built out of that. So this is something that when Josh is in the corner here, so The best option when you're in the corner, and people who have watched me enough have heard me say this a lot, even though I don't do it as much as I say it, because it's scary, is you go to ledge and ledge dash here, and I think that at 130 or whatever, your risk out of the ledge dash is not that bad. So I think, like, it's not like you're at 0 and you're risking an SD at 0. You're risking an SD at 133, not too bad. So I think going to the ledge and ledge dashing here to avoid Puff's corner pressure is technically optimal, but there's a far easier option that still has pretty good mix-up potential, and Josh uses it every time. You'll notice that Josh never full hops out of the corner. He always does full hop double jump out of the corner, and this is to avoid Puff reading him with some sort of full hop aerial here. It's more prevalent at percents where she's looking for the up air on your full hop, but it's kind of hard for her to deal with even now. Like, look, she kind of has to cover like this area right here, and because he gets the drift back, he's safe. And now, like, look at this. This is just, it kind of shows why mobility is so important in this game. Fox goes up faster than Jigglypuff can chase him. Jigglypuff goes up in an attempt to chase the Fox. Fox comes down, and now Jigglypuff is trapped in the air while Fox moves in. And then we talked about this a little bit in the SDJ set, but Josh right here goes for the weak nair at 0, which would Sakurai angle, giving him the possibility of doing a nair grab, and which I think is a really clever setup there. And look at how hard. I know we already went over that spot, but like it's so crazy to me how impossible it is for Hungrybox and Jigglypuff to actually kill out of that position. So they end up evens 2 stocks to 2. Man, am I only on game 2? I gotta speed it up. We're like at an hour in. There's just so much to talk about. And here's this nair. I don't think this is a good nair. I think that these nairs are good where they go past Puff. I think these nairs are very difficult for her to punish. But I think if you're in a spot where she's maybe here, I think the drill is a lot better than this nair, because it's like, sure, the late nair here is like kind of tricky to like shield grab, and the drill's a little easier to shield grab. But the drill a lot of times can just create, like, maybe you get like the poke here, maybe it's a little bit easier to like hit her if she tries to CC. Like, I would just, in my mind, I'm not seeing this spot being like, okay, I need to hit the late nair because I'm afraid of the shield grab. I'm more afraid of like a CC grab type of thing. And so I don't think going in here with the nair is a particularly great decision, but it's up there. You know, it's up there in the good decisions. Like, I have a slight preference there for down air or just not attacking, but I think that the late nair pressure is still pretty good. It's like this nair is better than this nair, than this one, where he just gets CC grabbed. And I think he's just kind of coming in a little bit too often with nairs here, rather than playing like the safe plan that he kind of had up till this point. So I see. I hope nothing's going wrong with the stream. Yeah, like YouTube is not letting me click the video. But it's still running, so can finish it. There's that up air that I brought up before. There we go. There's that up air that I brought up, where when this up air can potentially kill, it's such a good up air to do. Like, now that Hungrybox is at 92, then going for this gamble up air is so strong. This is a little bit less of a gamble. Like, it's not a super gamble. I don't think Hungrybox is really in a position to punish him even if he misses. And so it's just like, well, I kill you or I get back aired once. And so I think, like, rather than trying to come from above here against Puff, coming from below is so good. Notice these are the crouches that I was talking about, where crouching here, there's nothing that you have to worry about. There's no potential secret kill that Jigglypuff has to actually beat that crouch. And then Hungrybox comes off the platform here to try to do something about it, and he just immediately gets up aired and died. So those short hop up airs in that spot are actually so good if they kill. There's the double jump out of the corner, and it feels risky. I think there was maybe a slightly better way to play this with the wave dash out of shield stuff I was talking about, but I think that Josh knows what he's doing here really well, drifts back, avoids the up air, and gets like a nice setup. Little bit. It feels I don't know if you can feel it. There's a pressure. There's a pressure here that doesn't need to be here. Where like Hungrybox is kind of rushing in, and I think that Josh is giving up a little too much space. Like I think what he's succeeded at so far this set, doing really well, is sort of like not giving Hungrybox the space. Like he's playing in a position where he's defensive and out of range, but when Hungrybox tries to force the space, Josh doesn't let him, and he'll attack out of that. But it feels like here he gives up a lot of space, and then he's attacking into Hungrybox, who's no longer looking for more space. Hungrybox has, like, if Josh fought this out a little bit more, I think that could have been a little bit better. Not fought it out, but just not given up so much space directly, when Hungrybox is clearly kind of like rushing him down. So I think he ends up in the corner here, which is not a good place to be. And it kind of, Hungrybox just kind of holds the wall here for a second and manages, like, this could have been an opening. Like, this could have been like a CC or like a wave dash back grab or something. I think this nair was definitely risky. The other thing to keep in mind is that this is a lot of pressure. There's a player that Josh has lost to almost every time. Fox is very difficult to play against Jigglypuff in this situation without something going wrong. And so even though there are going to be a bunch of decisions where I'm looking at it and I'm like, oh, okay, like, this was bad, he should have done this here. That's just, like, objectively about the game. When you look at it from an actual tournament play perspective, this stuff, type of stuff does happen. And it's more about the overall plan being executed than, like, every little nair being perfect. But those can come back to bite you, so it's still important to talk about. So right here, it feels like Josh gets thrown off for a second with this with this runaway laser and this nair, and it feels like he's kind of like, I'm thrown off. This drill definitely felt very thrown off. Then he does this backflip, and it feels like he's resetting. He starts going back to his perfect spacing, but then, like, what's this drill? There's no reason to be approaching aerialing like that, and he just goes for another approaching aerial, and Hungrybox calls him out for it. So I think the end of this game definitely felt like a bit of like a mental thing, where it feels like Josh, whereas like right here when he's up, when it's 2 stocks to 2, it feels like he's not feeling pressured to go for these, like he's not feeling pressured to immediately attack out of the corner. He does, it's funny, as soon as I said that, he does attack out of the corner, but I feel like overall he was playing the plan a little bit cleaner. I feel like in general this game, he kind of starts tending towards these attacks. Like, yeah, like right there. And he's not able to really fully... I should have just gone earlier in the VOD and shown how he was playing the plan a lot better. But a little too late now. You can see it if you just go back. But he's playing the plan really well, and he starts getting a little bit pressured to attack. And I think that Hungrybox, that was the best attack yet. But he starts getting a little bit pressured to go in out of the corner, attack with short hop aerials in spots where I don't think he's necessarily needs to do it. And Hungrybox ends up just kind of walling him out here. Like, notice, like, watch from the Hungrybox side. The Hungrybox side here is, like, going to chase you down. I'm scary Jigglypuff. And then, like, okay, well, you gave me a good position, so I'm going to kind of, like, wall it out. Like, he's not trying to take too much space here. He's kind of looking for Joshman to sort of approach, because he's sort of given up this... He's given up the information that he's going to be approaching on this sort of rhythm. And Hungrybox catches onto that rhythm and manages to clean up the game because of it. So I think that game was a little bit of a lapse from Joshman. And that's all Hungrybox needs. If you give him a little bit of a lapse, he'll start chomping down on that immediately. Okay. I'm going to try to go through these next 2 games a little bit faster. I think I've spent the first 2 games talking about pretty much everything, and these next 2 games are probably just going to be a bit of a repetition from that. Yeah, Hungrybox, let's see. Yeah, a couple of the kills Hungrybox gets this game are pretty funny. This is the only game where Josh really gets up throw up airs. The other games, he's really not getting... He gets almost no up throw up air kills during this whole set. I think the majority of his kills come from, like, short hop up air and up smash. And, like, just overall, like, good positioning plays. It feels like he doesn't... I think if you can beat Hungrybox without getting too many up throw up airs, that is a really good sign. Because those up throw up airs won't always be there. It's nice to have them. Nice to get the early kills. Josh is going for them, but they're not always going to be there. Sometimes they're not going to happen. Either Puff SDIs out, which happens quite a bit, or they're just not really in a spot to get grabbed. That just means like the Puff is playing well. If they're SDIing out of the up throw up airs, and they're also doing a good job making sure you don't grab them at kill percent, that is what they should be doing. And so even though you really want to be getting these up throw up airs, you can't play the game as if like, oh, I just need to hit my up throw up airs. I think a lot of lower level foxes will kind of make that choice to sort of focus that you just need to hit your up throw up airs, and that is not the case. It is a layer of the matchup, and Puff can do a really good job. Kind of like Puff really wants her up air rests. Puff really wants up air, and but you can't assume that you're going to win the game off of up airs, because a really good fox will be working equally as hard to avoid the up airs. So I think while this game Josh does get a couple up throw up airs, which, you know, sometimes that'll happen, and that's great. I think he does a great job in the other games of not needing the up throw up air to win. And this is something that I think, you know, he's good at dealing with it. So I think that he goes for the nair at 0 here. But just in general, it feels like when the Puff wave dashes around on the ground and gets a little bit comfy, really low to the ground, Josh gets a tiny bit antsy. He feels a lot more likely to throw out like a quick drill or a quick nair. And I think that while it is a decent mix-up in terms of like success rate, the actual payoff from it is not quite as big. Like I don't think that you need to force hits on Puff here. I think that like for instance, like going for this drill, like Hungrybox is sitting here taking these like lasers, like there's no reason to be rushing in here with the drill, and it feels like this is like a mix-up that you would play against a character that you had to play a mix-up against here, and you don't. You like, she's just sitting here. You can return to this zone and shoot lasers as many times as you like until she solves the problem of you dash dancing here and lasering. That is an entirely winning position for you as Fox. There is no reason to actually come over here and try to force something. And he wins the mix-up there, but the win case here was 9 damage, and the loss case there was like a potential grab, which is not what you want. Really good spacing on the back air there by Josh. I think this was a fantastic zoning Hungrybox into the corner. I think if you get a shine here as Fox and you push Puff off stage, your first thought should be, okay, I'm going to use the fact that she is off stage and needs to get back to center stage in general from the corner. I'm going to keep her in the corner as long as possible with lasers, with back air, build up some critical percent. And Josh does a really good job here of keeping Hungrybox in the corner. He's shooting some lasers, but notice that like these lasers, Hungrybox drifts in here, a lot of Foxes would immediately retreat and get a couple more free lasers, but give up this position. And Josh does a really good job here of like, he's shooting his lasers, he's looking for his stuff, but ultimately he knows that pressuring Hungrybox into the corner is more important. And then the short hop up air, catching Puff if she tries to shield drop or hold her shield down. It's really good. And the classic Josh, where it's like once he starts hitting you a couple times or once, he'll look for the kill immediately afterward, which I think is really good. He almost gets it there. He's just very consistent at immediately going for the next option. It's very much like, okay, I hit you, great, on to the next thing. He's not looking after that position to reset to neutral immediately, and I think that's something that a lot of Foxes could learn from, including me. Okay, and that spot. this is like a funny spot. Like Josh is not at a percent here where up air knocks down, so technically this is not the worst gamble ever. I think it's a little bit disrespectful of HBox here. I think it's a tiny bit sort of thinking he might hold shield and let you grab him. And maybe Josh was going for something crazy where he was trying to do Waveland, teeter, cancel, turnaround grab or something, but I doubt it. It looks like he tries to Waveland down, and I just think this is an unnecessary risk when you're super winning on the percent, but this is my perspective on it. And once again with these up airs, I think this up air is fine. It doesn't kill. And like I said, I think if these up airs don't kill, why are you really going for it? I think like he could have up smashed here. Like if he was thinking it, because he's kind of just thinking this might trade or something. Like if you go for an up smash here, that would be a pretty good position. You'd probably get the kill out of it. And I like that the up air is less committal than the up smash, but you don't get the kill. And if you're not going to get a kill out of this up air, why is this even really happening? Like if you have a read on what Puff is going to do, then you could be setting up for a kill here. She's already a kill percent. But ultimately not a bad decision. It's just not maybe like perfectly optimized. Ooh, Josh gets caught in his shine there. This was crazy. I cannot believe this was like a big choke from Hungrybox here. Like, it feels like he had like a giant window, but he wasn't able to quite get the rest there. And yeah, I think Josh does a good job of holding Hungrybox in the corner here. Hungrybox does this is a great back air. Like I like that Hungrybox here, he's not impatient. He's not choking here. He's using his space carefully to find a spot to fight out with the back air. So I thought that was really good. Here's Josh with the double jump out of the corner again. It's still a little risky, you know. It's still not perfect, but it's so much better than just the raw full hop. And you do have the option of double jumping and changing your momentum of like full hopping forward, double jumping back, that type of thing. So it does have a good amount of mix-ups in it, and it's much better than the full hop there, basically. But I do think that maybe there was something slightly better here. Like, I think he just wasn't too pressured. I don't think he needed to go super high here, given how far away Puff was. And there's always go to ledge and ledge dash, but keep in mind that double jump is pretty good. Okay, great tech chase by Hungrybox there. Feels like this should have been a guaranteed kill. Like, I feel like he could have like put out an option here to beat the side B. Like Fox is far enough away. Like full hop right now, fall with forward air to beat potential side B, and then jump up and hit this. I could be wrong, but it feels like a spot where it could have been a cleaner edge guard and gotten the kill there. And so it feels like that's basically two kills that Hungrybox could have gotten that he kind of left on the table. And this is just a bad risk reward from Joshman. It happens sometimes. It feels like a spot where he was just like, okay, I can just quickly get the shine here. Slightly misses, gets stage spiked. He nods because he's like, yep, okay. Kind of took an unnecessary risk and got killed for it, so it does happen. And these up airs, as soon as Puff is at kill percent, these up airs are so nasty, by the way. Like, they're just terrifying reads that are... They kill just as well as the up smash does, but without the lag afterward. Like, I don't even think he necessarily needs to do this up smash. I think that this one's a little faster. And with the wall behind him, with the wall behind you, you probably feel so powerful here. I do get it. But like, I don't know, like... Josh is just going for up airs here, but up air is so mobile. Like he goes for the two up airs ahead of time here, and then he's just going for the up smash. So he's definitely just hunting for the kill here over and over on the transformation. I think like this made a lot of sense by Josh to go for this up smash here, even though the up air would have still killed and might have been a slightly better there, because it looks like Hungrybox is about to whiff a grab. Like Hungrybox whiffs a grab right in front of him, and then he drifts back here. It feels like Hungrybox will whiff another grab and get up smashed. Hungrybox moves back, and then just whiffs two grabs in a row. Like, I just feel like there has to be something better. Like, sure, it's clever to double grab every now and then, but I definitely feel like he's gotten used to just double grabbing. Yeah, look at... I don't know. I didn't notice this when I first watched it. The double grab by Josh. I wonder if this is some subtle disrespect. I feel like it's gotta be. I did not even see that. But I would be a little irritated too. I'd be like, man, like, I can beat you. Stop double grabbing like that. Like, Josh is looking good this set. I don't think he deserves the double grab. I don't think Hungrybox is intentionally trying to like disrespect him in a way to like make him feel bad, but it feels like a grab that you're kind of like, maybe you'll just let me cheese you, maybe, rather than kind of respecting the other player to be good. So I'm gonna skip past this because they just sit here on the transformation for a second, and Josh gets a quick nair on the. I like this defense here. Based on what I've seen from other stuff Josh did, after this back air, he should have crouched here instead of shielding. But I think the shield is just totally fine. This is a totally valid option. I just feel like Josh has done the crouch here a bunch of other times, and it's worked out like perfectly. So I don't see why he wouldn't do the crouch there again. Great movement. His, like I mentioned at the very beginning, his ground spacing is so good. Like this whole set, his ground spacing is like unreal good. Like just barely dodging like the grabs like that. Like it's actually kind of crazy. And I think going for this drill here is actually... I think the drill here is good because he can get something like drill, shine, and then if Hungrybox gets tech, like, you know, gets tech chase grab here will kill. So I think that was like a pretty good opening. Hungrybox playing the platform as he should. Honestly, I feel like he should have definitely been playing the platforms more this whole set. Like I feel like he has not been, like I feel like look at this whole movement sequence. Like there's like a whole movement sequence where he's basically challenging Fox on the ground and he can beat some Foxes on the ground, but like right here, like he's just moving around on the ground with going for wave dash grab and stuff. And like I said, like Josh maybe approaches too much against Puff on the ground when Puff is camping. Like not camping, but just kind of holding space grounded. But wave dashing in like this, trying to get the grab against a Fox who's spacing this well, does not feel like it's going to be particularly effective. He could still get it. They're not the worst mix-ups, but I want him to like create a little bit more time between each situation. It feels like he kind of gets... He's getting very scrambly in certain spots where I feel like Josh has been winning. Oh, and this is the perfect example. Notice, there's a couple examples here. Josh does not jump. He doesn't jump at all. He's not jumping. He's close to the spot where Hungrybox wants these up airs. Hungrybox is hunting for the up airs. Josh knows not to jump. No jumping here. He just moves around, and he's fine. Then he throws out an up air. And what does he do after the up air? He just crouches. He just crouches, makes it really hard for Hungrybox to hit the up air. It's a really good sequence there by him. Gets the Sakurai angle back air. And see, look at this. He's just 0 to 42. Boom, 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 boom. Instantly. 0 to 42 immediately. You're like 1 or 2 hits away from death here. Like if this CC Shine hit, this is like CC Shine grab, like dead. And notice once again, so this is a little dicey. I don't like this full hop back here by Josh because this is what Hungrybox has been looking for. This is the up air that Hungrybox has been looking for this whole time, and Josh was not giving it to him because he wasn't jumping. Hungrybox could have killed him there. And now he's back on the ground. Look at this. Shield, wave dash down, crouch. This is what you want to be doing in this spot. Shield, wave dash down, crouch, back off, crouch. He nair crouched there. It was really good. And then Hungrybox catches him for the missed refresh. This was actually really good play by Hungrybox of like noticing, like he just kind of makes like a read here, like that Josh grabs ledge, and if somebody's grabbing ledge and it's not off of a refresh, like if somebody grabs ledge off of another refresh they did, the chances they're going to be invincible the whole time are a lot higher if they're a really good player. But he grabbed ledge on this weird like fast fall to edge off of the tech. The odds that Josh is going to hit a frame perfect stall here are pretty low. And so Hungrybox just puts out like this very meaty down air here, and it's almost guaranteed to catch the refresh. So that was just a really good play by him. Really good, actually. Like the fact that he manages to make it back here and gets to ledge, like that whole thing was like a really, really good sequence on his end. And I think that he kind of gets into this thing these last couple of games where like he just starts fairing. I don't understand these fairs. Like this is against a guy who's proven that he loves CCing. Like Josh loves crouch cancel dash grab. He loves CC shine. He doesn't really get too much CC shine here, but he loves the CC options, right? The CC shine here is at a percent where like you're really in danger is what I'm trying to say. And like Josh has been doing these CCs really well. Why is Hungrybox doing like landing fair coming at Josh? I questioned that also in game 4. I was like, why is he doing that? And Hungrybox is clearly trying very hard in this set, but it also doesn't feel like he's fully respecting Josh the entire time. It does kind of feel like he's like, no, like, I just need to make him give it to me. And Josh does not give it to him, and it kind of comes back to bite him pretty heavily. I think that there were definitely spots where if he played, for instance, as locked in as I've seen him play against Zane sometimes, that there are just spots where he wouldn't be going for stuff. Like, I feel like he could be playing safer around certain positions. Like, he could be forcing more stalemates and looking for a position where, like, sorry, not looking for a position, looking for, like, a rhythm. Like, he could be moving around more and looking to sort of get a download more on Josh's rhythm and find an opening. And the end of the last game, you saw that he was kind of found a rhythm that Josh was doing and then started punishing that. But it feels like a little bit too often he's kind of like, gimme. Like, not quite down to play it super safely. Josh does this decision right here, which I think is fine. Mostly fine. It's like, it looks like the timing is maybe a little off. Like, he's trying to hit Hungrybox right there. Yeah. I think maybe the grab was a tiny bit better here, because if he misses, I don't think Hungrybox can punish it. But that's a tough call to make. And this is so crazy to me, is that, like, this is a really good position for Hungrybox to get the edge guard. If Josh had, like, 10% on him, he would have had to DI out here, and Hungrybox would have had a really good edge guard setup. So this down throw here is kind of perfect from Hungrybox's end. I think, like, with the exception that Josh is completely at 0. Like, fully at 0. Because, look, Josh DIs in, Hungrybox gets the guaranteed rest, which is what he was hoping for. Like, it's whenever you do this down throw as Puff, like, while she's rolling on him, you're kind of like, please DI in. Please, give me the free rest. If you DI out, I have to actually edge guard. And he gets this, and he sees it, and he's like, boom, got the rest. Here's my big, like, gonna be up 2-1 in the third game, and Josh just barely lives because Stadium's so big. This was a crazy pivotal moment in the set where this rest does not kill. And it wasn't even spectacular DI either. It was just so much distance to cover that Josh barely makes it back. So that was kind of unfortunate on Hungrybox's end. The down throw he got was just slightly out of position to get the kill here. And, you know, I'm not a huge fan of this transformation. Like, the person who's against the wall just has so much control here if they're at knockdown. Like, back air knocks down at 35. It's going to be relevant in the last game, I think. But back air knocks down at 35. And Josh, he would get knocked down here, and he would just be chilling. There's basically no way for Puff to actually kill him out of this spot. And he's getting potential killing up airs. Look at this. I love these CCs. These CCs are so nice. Aerial, dash, wave dash in, crouch. I'm not a huge fan of this up smash, because I think that Hungrybox might have been able to tech it. I think that Josh probably wants to get back on the inside here. And I think that I think that this is a hard decision. Like, all of these are hard decisions to make, honestly. Like, you guys are going to hear me a lot of times during analysis, like, oh, that's bad, that's bad. And I mentioned a little bit earlier, but under the actual pressure of these situations, it's so hard to actually see this stuff in real time. And that's why we have, you know, that's why we go over it later, and we go over it slow, and we pause, and we think about it, and we can say, oh, this was like a really bad decision. But during the moment of the tournament, you know, it's very tricky to see. So, like, for instance, right here, Hungrybox does full hop aerial, full hop up air, full hop up air, and then Josh is like, okay, now that he's landed, I'm gonna full hop above him. And it feels like there's some layers to this. The fact that Hungrybox is down in this little divot means that Josh's full hop is technically, like, perfection here. So maybe he just galaxy brained in the moment. But more likely, this was like a good play to be like, okay, I'm going to get over Puff. If I get hit, I have the tree on this side. Like, notice that he's crossing up with the full hop here. So I don't know exactly what he was thinking here, but my guess is that he was trying to kind of just get over Puff and get to the wall side, so he had better kill options. But it's kind of interesting here that the divot basically made Hungrybox miss. Where I think if Hungrybox was not in this little divot, So, like, if he was a character length higher right here, like, if he was right here and he full hop up aired, I think he would have for sure connected this up air. So it's interesting how the stadium transformation really affected that position. And this is what I like to see with Hungrybox. He's at this height where the up air can just barely hit him, but Josh also can't commit to this up air without being in some danger of getting reversal. And so he doesn't bite, which is what you want as the puff player there. And this is a combination of something unfortunate and good, where Hungrybox does this accidental miss wave dash, which is very unfortunate and bad. But Josh reacts to it with such a perfect up throw up air that it's kind of impressive anyway. Like, that up throw up air is not easy to hit with no pummels or anything. Like, he just knows, like, boom, boom, gets it with the tree in the way and everything. I don't think it's necessarily the hardest input of all time, but the recognition there and being able to actually jump and, like, he, like, slides up the tree. Like, being able to still get that up air there is not easy. And if he had dashed just a little bit further, he would have gotten caught on the tree a little bit later and probably wouldn't have been able to make it over there. And this is what I was talking about, where right here, Puff is invincible, stay low, never jump here. He can wave land out, wave dash out, drop through, total safety, never ever jump here if you are at a percent where the up air can get you. Do not go up high. Josh tries, this is kind of like not really Josh reacting to his invincibility. Like, I think that Josh right here made a great decision if Hungrybox's invincibility had just ended. So this was less so Josh making the mistake on jumping into the up air on an invincibility, which he's done a good job of, like, avoiding if there's not a top platform to go to, and more so that he just thought the invincibility was barely going to end. But it's also a little bit much to try to go in right at that moment to hit him. But in the heat of the moment, sometimes stuff like that happens. And it would have been a great decision if Hungrybox was just slightly less invincible. Or, like, if the invincibility had dragged on for slightly longer, Josh would have gotten a great hit right there. So, I think this position, going for the nair here, I don't approve of this nair. I feel like you're at 0, sure, so maybe you don't instant die off an up throw. But Hungrybox, this is the spot where he's looking for wave dash back grab. You know, like, as the Fox, he wants this wave dash back grab here. You can risk him getting a forward air or a back air and taking a little bit percent here rather than immediately going in and giving him a possible setup. So I think Josh didn't need to immediately go in right there. And Hungrybox tries to literally wave dash back grab and just kind of, like, he wave dash back, and then I'm pretty certain he just spams grab here. And so he ends up... Oh, he does the spot dodge. I actually thought he would spam grab there. I thought he'd be doing, like, wave dash back grab, but he does wave dash back shield, and then he actually spot dodges out of it. So maybe I'm wrong, but it does look like a spot where Hungrybox would normally hunt for that grab. Great tech chase by Josh. And this is probably the part in the set where it's really easy. Like, this is the easiest time to fall apart if you're a Fox mate against Hungrybox. And so I think Josh does a really good job of, like... He does his stuff where he's not jumping. He's not overcommitting here. You can do the quick short hop up air pokes. That's fine. But he's back on the ground immediately. If he was doing more full hops here or trying to even, like, short hop back air and, like, really get in there with, like, the back air and try to jump up and hit Puff, you're opening yourself up to all these dangers. And so Josh just up air, immediate crouch. Such a good pattern to have. Jigglypuff is not good against crouch. So it's like up air, immediate crouch. Then he misses this grab, just holds down anyway, gets the ASDI down, potentially can literally, like, this is so hard to do in tournament, but I think, like, a future Joshman, not a future person who's, like, better than Joshman, like, literally Josh in, like, a month or two will probably hit this, where, like, Hungrybox hits this fair and Josh would just dash grab immediately out of the ASDI down and hit him for it. I can see a world where Josh starts hitting those. But, like, you know, he doesn't want to get rested here, so he just moves out. Important not to jump. Better to go in the corner here. Like, there's two things here. You do not want to roll in. There's, in the, I believe, Moki Hungrybox set up this position and just baits the roll. So you don't want to roll in because you can potentially lose here. Like, just straight up, you're going to get rested. Not even, like, off and up the rest. You'll just get raw rested. So I think the roll away is really good because basically there was nothing here that would actually beat this. Hungrybox would have had to like read it with like dash attack or something, which he would never do at this percent. He's for sure looking for Fox to jump here, which is the big payoff. He's hoping Fox jumps. So really good roll by Joshman. Gets out of the corner and then establishes. I would have liked to see more of this in general from Josh. I don't think there's anything Hungrybox did. There was never a point during this set where Josh was lasering around and Hungrybox was like, oh, you're lasering? That's great, and beat him up for it. It feels like Josh does the lasers and then kind of just decides to stop, even though he never loses his defensive position. And so I think him playing this out really safely, not jumping. Like, I love the lack of overcommitment here. Like, this is some, like, iron discipline for not jumping here. Like, he does not try to... These all feel so reactable. Like, right here, it feels like, oh, okay, I can maybe jump up and hit a back air right here. And it's like, no, you don't want to risk that. It's much... Like, if he jumped up and tried to hit a back air here, maybe Hungrybox sneaks under him, gets an up air, wins the set. Great job not overcommitting here. Fantastic job, actually. Very difficult to not start jumping up against Puff here. So he's following the plan. He's staying low. Hungrybox is looking for his opening. But like I said, he hadn't really figured out a way to open up Josh's lasers. Like, during the set, during the previous game, every time Josh backs away and starts lasering, Hungrybox just stayed where he was. And eventually Josh would kind of come back in. And so it feels like Hungrybox is doing that. He doesn't seem super invested in actually trying to move in on Josh, and he's a lot more invested on trying to find a potential counter hit, which is a good idea, but I think this was so good by Josh. Look at the spacing. Boom. Just the fact that he played this whole sequence out patiently, I really like to see. And I think that it's a big contrast to the way that he's normally been playing the matchup, where he gets a little, like even during this set, where he gets a little bit aggressive and stuff like that. I think that him playing this safely and kind of proving that, like, okay, no, last stock, I can play this laser game out, was, you know, a big reason why I think he deserves this win. That, like, he didn't just randomly get, like, a mix here. He played out the long situation, didn't overcommit through several baits that Hungrybox is doing. He's really, really hoping to get Josh to overcommit here. Like, really, really. He's really, really trying for it. He's like, please, please come into the corner. Please. And eventually Josh does come into the corner. But like I mentioned before, if this up air will kill, it's such a good mix here. And I think... Usually, the way I was mentioning it earlier is if you have more than one stock, so if you trade with rest, it's fine. But even like right here, there was no chance Hungrybox would actually be able to get a rest out of this ever. Best case for HBox here is to get a trade, which he gets. Worst case for Josh is the trade, and like his best case is killing Hungrybox. So it was a really good up air, and he's basically just limiting his movement. Looks like this was a little bit of an error tech skill wise, but kind of just resets. He's not giving up the jumps, and then he finally gets this up air after this really good spacing around these back airs. Boom. Like, that was super, super good. Never opens himself up, never approaches in a way that he didn't need to, and so he cleans up that win, and that was just like a really good win in general. And then game 4... This is not the HBox that we want to see. I think that I've seen this exact Hungrybox come out game 4 against Cody several times, and it's always the FOD game, and he just starts giving up. And I don't like to see it, but he it's not that he fully gives up, but he loses that mental edge that he has the rest of the set if he goes down. If he goes down on Fountain, it feels like something goes wrong sometimes. I think he starts doing these landing aerials on Fountain way too much. And also, just not a huge fan of this pick as Puff in general. I personally think it might be better to just go back to Battlefield here. I think sometimes as Puff, this stage feels fantastic. And then sometimes there's this tiny little, like, super short platform that you can't do anything about. Like, if the platforms are here, I think this stage is great for Puff. The platform is here, and Fox can, like, nair up tilt pressure the platform. It just gets really, really nasty very fast, because she doesn't have a spot to land. This is low-key, like, Puff landing on FD, but Fox has a ceiling protecting him. Like, if Josh, like, crouches underneath this platform, he low-key has, like, a helmet on. And, like, I don't think that that's good for Puff. But I do think that Hungrybox should be using... He should be using the outer edge and the inner edge of these platforms way more. I've actually said this in a bunch of analyses on Hungrybox. When he does well on this stage, it's because he's using these. It's not because he's basically treating it like FD. And so I think the more he just uses the ground, like the ground and the air and not the platforms, it's like he's basically just letting Josh play tiny FD, which is definitely in Fox's favor. So Josh gets this really quick opener, 42 damage. And then I like this. Josh is playing in center. He's doing the mix-ups, but you can't let Fox fight in center. You need to use the platform to get Fox out of the center, and Hungrybox is not super using that. And I think that... So this is an interesting spot. This spot, if you just look at the surface level, looks kind of bad for Hungrybox to do it. But I think he actually gets a very good position here with his movement, where he can either up air here, he can do empty land grab, or he can do the pound. Personally, I think, honestly, he should have been doing more empty land grabs this set. It's not completely easy to know that you should be doing those, especially during the set, but it feels like he kept getting mixes where Josh was shielding, and he didn't do empty land grab on like any of them. He kind of just kept predicting that Josh would give him something a little bit easier, and Josh was not giving it to him. So this is something I really like out of Josh. This is very subtle, because it almost... at first when I saw it, I thought it was an up smash out of shield, but Josh actually wave dashes down out of the shield and then gets the up smash, which if Hungrybox was in a slightly different position, like let's say the pound hit where he was behind the shield, Josh would have still been able to clean up this up smash. So I think that wave dash down into up smash there was really, really nice. And yeah, this is the thing I mentioned where the up air doesn't knock down, so technically it's kind of safe to go up here. I think the ground is always a little bit safer, because even when he's not invincible and Josh isn't throwing anything out and he's just dashing around, it's hard for Hungrybox to hit him. So I feel like going up high here is a little scary, but because the up air doesn't knock down, it's not as scary as it could be. Even if this up air hits, it's not a guaranteed opening for Hungrybox, and so I think Josh is pretty fine for doing it. He does a lot of these nairs out of the corner to take back his space. And like I said, I think they're fine. I think he could mix them up with some cross-up drills too, and that would probably be good. I was kind of shocked that this grab missed. Josh going for a pivot grab here, I feel like he was feeling himself. This is kind of nasty. Like, dashing past pivot grab. Like, if he was just a few frames earlier, this would have been such an insane combo. So, can't blame him for trying those. And this is kind of what this doesn't perfectly play into the point I was saying, but if you're going to miss a grab here, like, rather than going for something like if he goes for nair, turn around up tilt here, there's no chance of ever dying out of it, or even like another nair. And the grab up throw wouldn't necessarily kill, so even though it would have been a really cool option, I don't think it was necessarily the best. And if you do get reversaled out of a grab, and it's one of the easier moves for Puff to reversal you out of, you want to make sure she's at a percent where you can at least trade with it. And I think Josh basically got the maximum punish he basically could off of this. The only thing he probably could have done is he probably could have done one short hop laser drill grab, and maybe it would have killed, but I kind of doubt it. I don't think this was that close to killing. It looked pretty close, but I feel like he might not have been able to get the kill there even with like an optimal punish. And this is what I'm talking about. This is literally the H-Box versus Cody stuff, where I'm like, there was no justification for this at all from the Puff end. This is like purely a mental lapse of like, first of all, going for this landing back air, but what are these landing aerials? Like, why is he not poking with aerials as he's moving? This fair makes no sense. because Fox is at 0. What is he hoping for? Like a fair grab? You know what I mean? Like, there's just nothing really significant there, especially against a Fox who's down to CC stuff all the time, you know? And you're at kill percent, where one move can kill you. I feel like this should be the percent where you're like, okay, I'm gonna camp for like 30 seconds. I'm going to stay around this outer edge, and I'm going to look for the one opening where I can get the one back air, or I can short hop from here and get a quick back air and retreat out of it, and just get like my one back air and then hunt for like a grab or something like that. And so like, I feel like this fair was just a lapse, and Joshman punished it like perfectly with the pivot up smash. And so yeah, it was a read here where if Josh had dashed towards center, he would have gotten hit by this fair. But it's just such a risky fair. It feels almost uncharacteristic. I would say it feels uncharacteristic, but I've seen him do this, in particular on Fountain against Cody, several times. Like, he starts getting into that zone where he does these landing aerials, and it feels like it's only on this stage where it ever gets this bad. And then Josh just kind of goes turbo mode right here. Like, look at this movement. It's like, boom, boom, up tilt. Like, I love tight spacing against Puff. It's so reactable a lot of times that it's very easy to be like, oh, well, I'll just play this very like general game plan. But reacting to the subtler positions is a lot of times what makes the difference. And I think Josh, like, setting this stuff up is so good. I think this is part of, I think going for a grab like this, he's at 0. Hungrybox is not going to be able to kill him super easily. He's behind his shield. I'm going to give him a pass on this grab, even though it won't kill, because just knowing Josh, like, he has something planned here. So I actually think this grab was really good. He could have potentially gotten a lot out of it. These nairs, though, I think he's got to watch out for these nairs. I think he does these short nairs. These short nairs are so good at, like, even lower percent than this, but I feel like sometimes they leak into his muscle memory or something for these higher percents where they're not as good, and he gets grabbed out of it again. It feels like if he wasn't making these couple little mistakes that are getting him rested, this would have been a really dominant set, and instead it ended up as like a fairly close set where he was kind of winning most of the time, and then occasionally Hungrybox would get like a little, like a CC. But it feels like the ways that Hungrybox is actually getting the punishes on Josh are like consistent small things that are repeating, and not like, wow, he actually read this thing that Josh has been doing. It feels like it's just kind of like, okay, Josh did not need to nair in there, and that was the source of a couple of his problems. And once again, we saw this earlier in the set, where Hungrybox 1, 2, after the second back air. Josh waits one more here. You know, that is the mix-up, but he just waits, immediately comes in. What you want to do, if you're the Fox in this position, is you watch the aerial. Aerial, okay. Is Puff going to come in immediately after this aerial, or is she going to jump again? She jumped, okay. She did an aerial again, and you kind of make the choice. Is she going to do one more jump aerial, or is she going to come in? And Josh just makes the read that one more aerial will happen, and you can just punish her during the lag from the back air. And Hungrybox loses a stock here. Crucial stock that you do not want to lose. Personally, I think the best option here would have been to go back to ledge, and then probably do like a tournament winner from ledge here, and then work your way back in. But not always easy to make that decision, but Josh cleans it up. He cleans him up for getting a little bit risky over here immediately. And at this point, it feels like Hungrybox is not in the zone to actually fully bring this back. Not even that he necessarily could. Like, it's a very difficult position to bring back here, and I don't see the necessary lock-in in this moment to, like, actually bring it back. I think he tries to get some stuff started, and I think this was really good. This is definitely how it starts, but it kind of goes downhill after this. Not quite. Okay. That's the thing. I think I might be overstating that. It's not that like HBox couldn't have brought this back, and he did do a pretty good job bringing it back. Something about it felt like this whole time Josh was gonna win. But he definitely clutched up right here. This was a really good edge card. I've seen him do this before, and every time I'm still shocked that, like, you just drift in here and you cut off Fox's wall ride. That's, like, actually such a good, like, subtlety to the edge guard. So he does, like, this is a last stock game. He does bring it back. So you got to give him respect for that. I think it's at this moment where once Josh actually gets this, it feels very, very Josh favored. Although there's that nair again. This is that dangerous nair, almost at the exact same percent. This could have been an ASDI down grab, and the Hungrybox would have killed him out of it. Pound is a little bit too high of a percent to be going for here. It's fine, but... And maybe he could have jab reset. There's a couple worlds where Hungrybox could have still won this for sure. But I think the way Josh is moving, it's like, even though Hungrybox is coming back, it doesn't feel like Josh is thrown off enough that if it goes to last stock, he'll just give it to him. Hungrybox definitely fights for it. And those nairs almost come back to bite Josh again. Great shield. I love the shield, love the CC. Like, the fact that he's, like, if you're trying to make a big comeback as Puff and they're going for, like, perfect CC grabs, it's like, uh-oh. I kind of was hoping they'd be full hopping around. So I think Josh is playing this position out super well. And, like, Hungrybox actually does bring it to last stock. That is crazy to think about. Because I feel like Josh is not making too many bad decisions here. Like, he is jumping a little bit more, but he's not letting himself get caught in the air. Definitely a high-pressure spot. The gameplay quality goes down a little bit on both sides. And that's the only other really good up air Hungrybox lands the whole set. There's that double jump out of the corner. Josh, for the first time the entire set, and this is what I was saying where I think Hungrybox died below 100 every stock. Or died off of an opening under 100 every stock for the entire set. And at the very, very end, Josh gets a little bit like, maybe I can just back air and finish it off. And I think that almost lets Hungrybox come back, even though I don't think he... Like, I don't think these fairs were anything particularly, like, super special. I think that there's another world where... Oops, there's another world where Joshman just immediately kills him out of it. I hit the back button on my mouse on accident. But he manages to get this wacky triple fair, actually. This is, like, such a trippy... Like, I feel like this was entirely on Josh to start, like, full hopping here. If he just kept playing the grounded game that he had demonstrated the whole set, he wouldn't have given that up. But gotta give it to H-Box. He was making a comeback here. Despite it all. Despite it all. Oh, it gets so scary. Even though, like, I feel like Puff doesn't even have to do that much to make this position super scary. Like, it just feels like her existing in this spot is already scary enough. And then he overcommits here. I think Hungrybox knew right when he did this back air that it was probably over. But I feel like Josh held it together for the most part. I guess He wasn't doing the thing, like, I've seen him do this thing against Cody, where when he really needs to make a comeback, he'll, like, go to ledge, and he'll, like, really, like, think about it, and you can see his inputs get more precise. I didn't notice that type of lock-in from him, but he did maintain a very solid level of play, and Josh started slipping a teensy bit at the end, and the 3-1 lead really helped him out at the very end. But it didn't feel like Hungrybox really had, like, an actual chance to take the last stock. Not that there wasn't a possibility, but he didn't have an opportunity to actually take the last stock at any point. And then Josh does the pop-off, the handshake, and yeah, good stuff to Josh. Finally, everybody's celebrating, everybody's happy here. Like, there's a lot of big Joshman fans out there. This was a really cool set, and yeah, congrats to Joshman for finally beating Hungrybox 3-1. So that was a big victory for him, and I hope I was able to demonstrate through the analysis, like, where he was doing really good stuff, where he could do some stuff better, where it seemed like Hungrybox maybe wasn't perfectly on point, but then it also felt like Josh was doing a really good job of working around the common options he gets away with, certain up airs, certain multi-grabs, and stuff like that. So I think, like, overall, this was, like, a very good level of play from Josh, and I would expect that as he continues to grow as a player, that, like, it will kind of get increasingly hard for Hungrybox to deal with, as long as Josh, you know, doesn't end up freaking out, like, during the set. It's very, very easy to, like, get mental gamed against Puff, and I think that works to Hungrybox's strengths. But I think if Joshman can avoid that, like, just his pure matchup play, especially if he removes a few inefficiencies, mostly going to the top platform during invincibility, and narrowing in a couple of those spots, I think like it'll get really tough for any Puff who's playing him, because he just kills at low percent really consistently. He combos to those kill percents to get the kill very consistently, does a great job hitting his mix-ups to get you to those percents, does a great job avoiding basic setups, like for the most part, for grab and up air, and like, yeah, he's just very good at like crouching and shielding and the defensive options, not giving Puff the jumps that she normally wants. And I think it's basically looks like it can kind of only get better for Josh from here. Like I said, the only thing that would hold him back is like some mental stuff, or like mental game on Hungrybox's part. And Hungrybox could get a little bit more efficient and a little bit more precise. But overall, option-wise, like when Josh does up air under the side plat into crouch, we haven't seen really an option from Hungrybox or from Puff that will just destroy that option and make Fox really reconsider. So definitely a cool set to watch, and I think there was a lot to glean from it, as you can probably tell, considering it was an almost 2-hour analysis, and it was definitely longer than usual. It was like an hour and 50 minutes compared to some of them that are like an hour. But I had a really good time going over it, and that completes the analysis. I appreciate everybody who came and watched it, and that was the 8th out of 10. For the whole Don't Park top 8, we only have 2 sets remaining. I'll be going over Joshman versus Nikki tomorrow, and then I'll be going over the final grand finals of Aklo versus Moki on Sunday. And then we'll be done with the top 8.